the shadow that devours love. The rain came down in sheets the night Sarah left me. It hammered the roof like impatient knuckles begging to be let in, and I stood in the open doorway watching her drag old blue suitcase across the witch. 7 years of us reduced to that one battered piece of luggage, and the way her shoulders shook. She did not back. She never did once the decision was made. I wanted to shout her name, to run after her, pull her inside, and bolt every door, but something in the air that night felt heavier than rain. It pressed against my chest like a living weight, and the words died in my throat. We had been happy once, the kind of stupid blinding happy that makes other people roll their eyes. Lazy Sunday morning with her bare feet in my lap, coffee going cold while we talked about nothing and ever. The way she hummed off key when she cooked. The little scar on her left eyebrow the night we tried to dance in the kitchen and she slipped and spilled. I still have the photo of that scar, taken the next morning, and she was laughing so hard she could barely breathe. That photo is still on the fridge. Lately her smile looks wrong. The eyes are too dark. The mouth is too wide. It started in the house, not with blood on the walls or doors slamming by themselves. It was quieter, meaner, a cold spot that followed her from room to room, a whisper that sounded exactly like my voice saying her name from the hallway when I was standing right beside her. Then the dreams. She would wake gasping, clawing at her throat, telling me the shadow had her by the neck and was dragging her away from inch by inch. It wants the space between us, she said one night, her fingers digging into my arm, hard to bruise. It feeds on the moment right before goodbye. The longer we stay together, the hungrier it gets. I laughed it off at first. Stress, she said. The hospital where she worked had been brutal that year. Too many night shifts, too many patients who never made it to morning. But the marks on her neck the next day were real. Thin, dark lines like fingers had wrapped around her while she slept. She wore scarves even in the house. She stopped letting me touch her throat even when we made love. She would turn her head away and I would feel the absence of her like a wound. Then the letters began arriving before she ever left. Postcards with no stamps, no return address. Her handwriting, the words were wrong. I'm already gone, the first one said. Don't follow. I found it tucked under my pillow one morning. The second was slipped between the pages of the book was reading. It wears my face when you're not looking. It smiles with my mouth, and you will kiss it one day and never know the difference. I confronted her. She cried so hard she vomited. Then she packed. The night she walked out, I stood at the window until her taillights disappeared around the bed. The house felt wrong immediately. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that has weight. I poured myself a drink and sat in the dark, and that was when I heard it for the first time clear. A soft wet sound like lips pulling away from skin. From the bedroom. From our bed. I went in. The sheets were rumpled as if someone had just lain. Her side still warm. On the pillow was a single strand of her hair, but when I picked it up, it moved between my fingers like a living thing tried to wrap around my wrist. I dropped it, and it crawled under the bed like a worm. For weeks I searched, drove every back road between here and the coast where she said she was going, called every motel, every shelter, every friend. Nothing. Then the dreams changed. Now she was the one calling me, not begging to be saved, begging me to stay away. In the dreams, she stood at the end of a long black corridor, her arms open, but her feet were nailed to the floor with shadows. Don't come closer, she whispered. It's already inside the space you left behind. Every mile between us is another tooth in its mouth. I woke up with blood in my mouth. I had bitten my tongue in my sleep. The letters kept coming, one every few days. The handwriting grew shakier. The paper smelled like damp earth and something metallic. I can feel it growing stronger the farther I run. It likes the distance. It stretches between us like a vein and drinks. I sold the house. I could not sleep there anymore. Every night the bed would creak as if someone was turning over beside me. Every morning a mirror in the bath would fall, and on it would be written in the condensation the same 2 words over and over: stay away. I kept driving. I kept looking. In a small town 3 states over, I found the motel clerk who remembered. Pretty lady, he said. Cried the whole time she paid. Left this behind. He handed me a folded piece of paper. Her handwriting again. If you find this, it means you're close. Turn around. The thing that took me is using me to call you. It wants to finish the meal. It wants the final bye. I drove to the address on the back paper. An abandoned cabin deep in the pines. The door was open. Inside, the walls were covered in photographs. Hundreds of them. All of us. Our wedding. Our first apartment. The trip to the coast where she burned her shoulders and I kissed every freckle. But in every photo, her face had been scratched out. Not cut. Scratched. As if claws had gone through the paper. In the corner of the room, something moved. A shape that was almost her shape. It unfolded from the floor like smoke taking form. It wore her coat. It had her hair. But the eyes were wrong. Too many of them. They opened all over its face like black flowers bloom. It spoke with her voice. Soft. Loving. The way she used to say my name when she thought I was asleep. You finally came. I ran. I drove until the car died. I walked the rest of the way home somehow. The house I had sold was empty again. The new owners had left after 1 week, they told the realtor. Said the place felt like it was waiting for someone. I live here now, in the house that ate our love. Every night I sit in the dark and I feel the space where she should be. It is not empty. It is full. Full of the thing that grew in the miles between us. Full of the hunger that separation fed until it became strong enough to wear her face and speak mouth. Sometimes I hear her real voice, very faint, very far, coming from inside the walls. I'm sorry. I tried to keep the distance. I tried to starve it, but it only grew. I answer her every time. I'm still here, and the thing in the dark laughs with her laugh, presses closer until I can feel her breath neck again. Cold, wet, patient. We are separated forever now. Perfect, beautiful, eternal. The space between us is the only thing keeping me alive and the only thing killing. And every night it grows 1 more inch. The last place we held hands. Rain never stopped falling the week Elias disappeared. Not a storm, just endless gray drizzle that turned every sidewalk into a shallow black mirror reflecting nothing seeing. We had walked home from the corner market, like always his fingers laced through mine, the plastic bag swinging between us, bumping our thighs with every step. Bread, milk, 1 cheap bottle of red wine we never opened. He squeezed my hand once harder than usual and said, "If I ever vanish, promise you won't look for me." I laughed, told him he watched too many bad movies. He did not laugh back. That night he slept facing the wall. Usually he curled around like I was the only warmth on earth. I woke up at 3. Something felt missing from the bed. Not just heat, but weight-shaped breath. The pillow still held the dent of his head, but when I touched it, cotton was on cold. His side of the closet was empty. Shoes gone, coat gone, even the stupid keychain he carried since high school. The little silver anchor his father gave for the accident. Nothing left behind except the smell of his skin on the sheets. 1 single sock under the radiator, forgotten like it had been waiting years to be found. I called everyone. His sister, his old roommate, the barista who knew his coffee order by heart. No one had seen him. The police took a report, asked the usual questions, wrote down my number, said they would call anything up. They never did. The first sign came 3 days later. A text from his number. Just 1 line. "Don't open the hallway closet." I stared at the screen, heart hammering. The hallway closet was where we kept coats, umbrellas, vacuum cleaner, winter boots. I had already looked there twice, searching for any clue. Nothing. Still, I walked over, pressed my ear to the door. Silence. Then very softly from inside, something grand. Not human breathing. Slower, deeper, like lungs made of wet cloth. I did not open it. The next morning, another text. "I'm still here. Just not the way you remember." Attached was a photo. Our bedroom, taken from above bed. I was asleep, curled on my side, mouth slightly open, hair across my face. The timestamp said 2:47 a.m. that same night. I had been alone. Complete alone. I checked the metadata. The photo was taken with his phone from inside our room. I stopped sleeping in the bedroom after that. Couch, kitchen, floor, anywhere but there. The apartment started changing in small ways. Pictures on the wall tilted a few degrees every morning. The fridge light stayed on even when the door was closed, humming like someone was standing inside watching. My reflection in the bathroom mirror sometimes blinked half a second after I did. Then the voicemails began. His voice calm, almost tender. "Remember the night we drove to the lake and you said you would follow me anywhere? I'm asking you now. Follow me." Every message ended with the sound of water, moving slow, thick water, like something heavy sinking beneath the surface. I saved them all. Played them at night when the silence got too loud. His voice was the only thing that still felt like. I drove to the lake. 2 hours north, same dirt road, same wooden dock where we once lay on our backs counting stars until we ran ours. The water was flat black, reflecting the moon like spilled ink. I stood at the edge, called his name until my throat burned. Nothing answered. Then from far out in the middle, something rose. Not a body, not a wave, just a shape darker than the rest of dark. It did not move toward. It waited. I went home. The texts kept coming every few hours. "I'm colder than I thought I would be. The water tastes like metal. You still smell like coffee and sleep on my tongue." Each one hurt worse than the last because the words were his exact way he used to speak when no one else was listening. One night the power went out. I lit candles, sat on the living room floor, hugging my knees. The hallway closet door creaked open half an inch, just enough for a thin line of shadow to spill across the floorboards. I watched it. The shadow stretched longer than it should have, reaching toward my feet. When it touched my sock, I felt cold so deep it burned. I jerked back. The door eased shut again, soft as a sock. I packed a bag the next morning, left the city, drove west until the road ended at a motel with a flickering sign. It said vacancy in red and nitrogen monoxide vacancy, then vacancy again, like it couldn't decide. The clerk handed me a key. No, room 12. I dropped my things on the bed and the phone buzzed. A video this time. 37 seconds. seconds. The camera shaky pointed down at water. His hand visible wrist scarred from the time he fell through ice as a kid. The hand opened. Something small and pale floated up from the depths. A photograph. Our photograph. The one from the lake that summer. He was laughing. I was kissing his cheek. The water closed over it again. Then the camera turned. His face filled the screen. Eyes wide open, but pupils gone just white. Lips moving, but no sound. Subtitles appeared at the bottom in his hand. Come get me, please, before I forget how to help. I drove back through rain, through fog, through towns that looked like they had been abandoned mid-breath. When I reached our building, the hallway light was flickering. The closet door stood wide open. Inside nothing but coats and darkness. But the darkness had shape. It had shoulders. It had the curve of his spine, the way he always stood slightly tilted to the left after his back-ding boxes. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me without a sound. Total black. Then his arms came around me from behind. Familiar. Warm at first, then colder till my teeth chattered. He pressed his mouth to my ear, whispered my name the way he used to when we made love slow and careful like we forever. I waited, he said. I waited so long. I turned in his arms, felt his chest rise and fall, felt the slow drip of water from his hair onto my collarbone, felt the way his fingers trembled when they touched my face. I'm here, I whispered back. His mouth found mine. The kiss tasted like lake water and copper, and something older than either of us. Something patient. Something that had always been waiting in the space between hearts. When we finally pulled apart, I could see his eyes again. Not white anymore, just sad. So sad it carved something out of me I would never get back. You have to let go now, he said. I can't. You already did. The moment you stopped believing I was coming home. I looked down. My arms were empty. The closet was empty. Only the coats hanging limp. Only the smell of wet wool and mildew. I stepped out, closed the door, leaned my forehead against it, and cried the way children cry when they finally understand something is gone forever. The phone never buzzed again. But sometimes late at night, when rain taps the window like fingers asking to be let in, I still feel the shape his hand mine. Not memory, not ghost, just the empty place where our fingers used to fit perfect together. And the place stays empty, and it hurts every year, because the last thing he ever said to me before the dark took him completely was my name, and answered. And nothing answered Bay, the door that closed twice. The morning after Maya left the apartment still smelled like her perfume mixed with the coffee finish. She had packed in silence while I pretended to sleep on the couch, the way cowards do when they know begging only make the goodbye uglier. She paused at the bedroom door one last time, fingers on the knob, eyes wet but steady. Don't follow me. Not this time. Then she pulled the door shut behind her. The click of the latch was so soft, felt apology. I waited 3 days before I opened that door again. When I did, the bedroom looked exactly as she left. Bed unmade her side, still dipped from where she sat to tie her shoes. Her sweater folded on the chair, the sleeves crossed like arms waiting to hold so. But the air was wrong. Too still, too thick, like the room had stopped breathing the moment she walked out. That first night, I heard scratching. Not loud, frantic scratching. Slow, deliberate, like fingernails tracing the same circle over and over on the other side of the bed door. I sat up in the dark, heart slamming against ribs. The sound stopped the second I moved. I told myself it was the building settling, pipes expanding, old wood groaning. I almost believed it. The next night, it came back. Same slow circles, but now accompanied by low murmur. Her voice. Not angry, not sad, just tired. Repeating my name the way she used to when she wanted me to wake up and hold her after a nightmare. I pressed my ear to the wood. I'm still here, she whispered. Right where you left me. I jerked away so fast, I hit my head on the wall. Blood trickled warm down my temple. When I wiped, my fingers came away red, but the color looked wrong. Hallway too dark, too thick, almost black. I started sleeping with the bedroom door open. Could not stand the idea of closed anymore. But the scratching followed. It moved to the living room walls, the kitchen cabinet, even the bathroom mirror. Always the same patient, deliberate circles. Always her voice, underneath soft, close. You promised you would never let go. I had promised that. On our third date under string lights in that terrible backyard bar, she asked what I was most afraid of. I said losing. She laughed, said, then don't. So I promised. Swore on everything stupid and sacred that I would hold on until the world. She kissed me so hard, tasted cop. I thought it was love. Maybe it still was. A week later, I found the first photograph tucked inside my pillowcase. U.S. on the rooftop the night we decided to move in together. Her head on my shoulder, wind whipping her hair across my face. But in this version, her eyes were scratched out, not cut with scissors. Scratched, deep frantic gouges that went through the photo and into paper beneath. On the back in her handwriting, tiny and careful. Look closer. I looked. Behind us in the city lights, something tall and thin stood watching. No face, just a silhouette that matched the shape of the doorway doorway when it was half open. I burned the photo in the sink. The smoke smelled like wet hair and vanilla. The messages started after that, not on my phone, written on the fogged bathroom mirror every morning before I woke up. I waited inside the room. You never came back. The door closed twice. I wiped them away every time, but they reappeared darker, wetter, like someone was crying ink. One night, I could not take it anymore. I opened the bedroom door wide, stood in the threshold, and shouted her name until her voice cracked. The scratching stopped. Silence rushed in, so complete hurt my ears. Then, from inside the closet, something shifted. Fabric rustling, slow, careful footsteps on carpet. The closet door eased open, inch by inch. She stepped out, or something wearing her stepped out. Same sweater, same messy bun, same small scar on her chin from falling off her bike when she was 12. But her movements were all too fluid, too careful, like she was remembering how to look in someone else's body. Her eyes found mine. For one heartbeat, they were hers. Soft brown, full of the same love that used to make me feel invincible. Then they changed. Pupils swallowed the irises until nothing was left but black. Her mouth opened, no sound came at first. When it did, the voice was layered. Hers underneath, something older, something that had waited a very long time. You left me in, it said, with the moment you said goodbye still hanging in the air. I've been living inside that goodbye ever since. I backed away. She followed. Not fast, not threatened, just inevitable. Every step she took, the temperature dropped till my breath fogged between us. I tried to leave, she whispered, but the door only opens from this side now. She reached for me. Her fingers were cold, wet, like she had been underwater for years. When they touched my cheek, I felt pull. Not physical, deep, like something inside me was being drawn toward the bed, toward the closet, toward the dark space behind clothes where she had waited. I ran, slammed the front door behind me, took the stairs 3 at a time, burst into the street. Rain again. Oh, I walked until my shoes filled with water, until my lungs burned. Found a 24-hour diner, sat in a booth, ordered coffee I could not drink. When I finally looked at my phone, there was one new message from her number, a single photo. Me sitting in this exact booth, head down, shoulders hunched, taken from across the table. Timestamp 2 minutes ago. I looked up. The booth opposite me was empty, but the seat cushion was still dented, as if someone had just stood up. I left without paying, ran back to the apartment, took the elevator this time because the stairs felt too much like running towards something instead of away. The hallway smelled like wet earth and her perfume. The bedroom door was open. I had left it closed. Inside, the closet door stood wide, clothes pushed aside like someone had stepped through. On the floor, a single earring, the one she lost 6 months ago, the silver crescent moon. I bought her in that flea market. It was wet, dripping. I picked it up. It burned cold against my palm. From inside the closet, her voice again. Not angry, not sad, just patient. Come back inside, she said. We can close the door together this time. No more goodbyes. I stood there a long time, rain drumming on the window, like fingers asking permission to enter. I thought about the promise I made her string lights. Thought about how promises are just words until something comes along to collect. I stepped into the closet. The darkness folded around me soft, as her arms used to be. The door closed. Once from the hallway side, once from the inside, and the scratching started again. Slow, patient circle, tracing the shape of my name over and over, forever. The room we never left. The last time I saw Livia whole, she was standing in the doorway of our tiny kitchen, holding 2 mugs of tea, steam rising slow between us, like something fragile trying to stay. She said my name once, very quiet, the way people do when they're already halfway somewhere else. Then she turned, walked down the short hallway, and never came back out. I waited. First 5 minutes, then 20, and the whole night sitting on the cold tiles, my back against. Morning came, gray and ordinary. The hall was still. Her shoes were still lined up by the door. Her coat still hung on the hook, but the bedroom door at the end of the corridor was closed, and it had never been closed before. Not once in 4 years. I waited. First 5 minutes, then 20, and the whole night sitting on the cold tiles, my back against. Morning came, gray and ordinary. The hall was still. Her shoes were still lined up by the door. Her coat still hung on the hook, but the bedroom door at the end of the corridor was closed, and it had never been closed before. Not once in 4 years. I called her name. Nothing. I knocked. Nothing. I pressed my ear to the wood, breathing, very faint, very slow, not scared breathing, patient breathing, the kind of breathing that knows it has all the time in the world. I opened the door. The room was exactly as we left it that morning. Bed half made, her reading glasses on the nightstand, my hoodie thrown over the chair, sunlight falling through the blinds in the same lazy stripes. Only one thing was different. There was no second door. The door I had just walked through was gone. Solid wall, paint the same color, baseboard the same chip white. I touched it, cold, real. I hit it with my fist. It didn't even shake. I turned around slow. The window was still there. The closet, the bed, everything normal, except now I was inside a room that only had one way in and no way out. out. That was the first day. Night came. I didn't turn on the light. I just sat on the floor and listened. Around 2 a.m., something started moving very soft inside the closet. Not loud, not violent, just the smallest shift of fabric. Then the soft click of a hanger moving half a centimeter. Then breathe again. Closer this time. I whispered, "Livia?" The breathing stopped for maybe 3 heartbeats. Then it answered. Same voice. Same soft cracked edges. But it came from everywhere at once. Floorboards, ceiling, the space behind my own ribs. "I'm still," it said. "I never left. You're the one who's late." I crawled to the closet, opened it very slowly. Nothing. Clothes. Her sweaters. My jackets. The blanket we used to wrap around ourselves when the heating died in winter. I pushed everything aside, reached to the very back. My fingers touched wall. Then something warm. Skin. Her wrist. I jerked back so fast, I hit my head on the hanging rail. She laughed. Not mean. Just tired. The same small, tired laugh she made when I burned dinner or forgot what day it was. "You always were afraid of reaching too far," she said from inside the dark. I didn't sleep that night or the next or the next. Time stopped making sense inside that room. The sun came up. The sun went down. Sometimes it happened fast. Sometimes the daylight lasted 17 hours straight. Sometimes night pressed against the window. For so long I forgot what color the sky was to be. She came out more often after the first week. Not all at once. First just her hand reaching from under the bed. Then her hair brushing the back of my neck while I tried to drink water from the sink in the tiny attached bathroom. Then her whole shape standing at the foot of the bed watching me while I pretended to sleep. She never tried to hurt me. She never raised her voice. She only ever asked the same thing over and over in different ways. "Why didn't you come sooner? Why did you wait so long to open the door? Don't you want to stay with me?" I tried everything. I scratched the wall until my nails I screamed until my throat bled. I threw the lamp, the chair, the knit stand, everything I could lift. Nothing broke the wall. Nothing even left a mark. The room was patient. The room was kind. The room had all the time. Eventually, I stopped fighting. I started talking to her. Real talk, like before. About stupid things. The terrible movie we watched last month. The way the neighbor's cat always sat on our windowsill. How she always stole my socks and never gave them back. She listened. She answered. She sounded exactly like her. One night I woke up and she was lying beside me. Not cold. Not warm either. Just present. Like air that suddenly remembers it has weight. I turned toward her. Her eyes were open, looking right at me. "I missed you," she whispered. I reached out, touched her cheek. Real skin, real warmth, real tears. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. She smiled the small broken smile that used to undo me every time. "It's okay. We have time now." All the time. I closed my eyes. I let her put her arms around me. I let the room breathe around us. The window is still there. The sun still comes up sometimes, but I don't look outside anymore. There's nothing left to see. She's here. I'm here. The door that brought me in is gone forever. And somewhere very far away, in another life, someone is probably still knocking on that bedroom door, calling my name, waiting for me to come out. I hope they stop eventually, because this room is very gentle when you finally stop trying to leave. And she still smells like chamomile tea and rain. And every morning we used to wake up together. We never have to say goodbye again. And that is the only thing that still hurts.